I did a video and an article on that woman who I saw at the dairy once who was with an abusive man. And me and this other guy stood there for her, so to try and give her the idea that if she came to us, we would protect her from the guy. But it's no good protecting her from someone she doesn't want to get away from. And that leads to a lot of frustration because you want to go up to a person and say, look, that person's using you, it's a narcissist, they're abusing you, come with us and we'll help you. And I felt extremely sorry for the police who go around to someone's house and try and help a woman, and she just goes back the next day. You imagine being a feminist police officer, and you join the force to save all women from the pathetic plight being brutalised by men. And that might be your view, not all, just some people. And then you get there, and then you go to a house, and a guy's beating a woman up, and you get in there, and you drag him around, and you throw the book at him, and you're really proud of your effort, and you find out 2 days later she's back with him, and he's beating her again. And you have to rescue her again, and then it just happens regular, like every once or twice a year. And that's when you realise that a lot of narcissism and abuse is actually possible because of the victim, not the abuser. The abuser will people will always abuse if they have someone they can victimize. But if there was no one to victimize, they couldn't. It's like when they were selling synthetic drugs here. Everyone was raving on about the shop owner being evil and all this, the government being evil, legalizing it. And I thought to myself, there are people that buy it. And I said to them on our local page, I said, well, if people wouldn't buy it, they'd go under. So they're offering a product. It may be a bad product, but they're taking the same as prostitution and abortion. The old way was supply and demand. It was you supply what the people want. These days they can get something really bad, offer it to the public, and the public will take it. And even if they didn't originally want it, they'll take it with time, and then they'll have it. So when you have women getting abused, or even men in relationships, a lot of the abuse is simply possible because of the abused. It's letting it happen. And I went to the lake with Dobie and the dog, and I was thinking about, it just sort of popped into my head about you can help people as much as you want and as much as you can try, but if they're going to keep constantly going back to their abuser, you're wasting your time, because the only person in the end who can save them is themselves. And it doesn't matter if you love them, or it doesn't matter if you care, it doesn't matter if it's your own children. As adults and they're going to do stupid, you can't do anything because the current stupid or foolish situation they're in, there's recycling in, is because of themselves. They can walk away. They just don't. They don't have the courage, they don't have the ability, they don't want to, whatever. But they don't. There is a reason for them not doing it. Lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, lack of being insecure and all sorts of stuff like that. We're not talking about that though. We're talking about the fact that they just don't walk away, even when given very good advice. And I always find that very frustrating. You go to a person, you give them the most incredibly good advice you know, and they turn around and they look at you and they go, yeah, and they go sit on the couch, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you watch them get hurt, they cry, they have fits, and then they go and do it again. It's like the battered woman. I know quite a few women back when probably the 70s and 80s who would walk around black eyes in town, and I swear they were doing it on purpose. And getting beaten by their husbands obviously not a good thing, but they were very proud about the black eye. And my mother, as far as I remember, Dad gave her one black eye. So when he did give her that black eye, she called him a wife beater and said he was constantly beating her. I only remember him hitting her twice. So she milked it well, let's put it that way. And she went downtown and she ran to every shop in town, especially if any other people knew Dad. And she'd go into the shop and she'd go this with a black eye and a sad look on her face. And they'd go up and say, oh my dear, what happened to you? And she said, I walked into a door, and everyone knows that I walked into a door means my husband hit me. And, so yeah. And then, but she stayed. And eventually she left Dad. But when she left Dad, it was more for her to become kind of like have a single life. Because while she was with Dad would come home for work and Mum would be partying up with the teenagers and stuff like that. And Dad would just go to bed, go to sleep. So they both had their bad sides. And they both did bad things. The cat's right here. Just petting it. You can see the cat. Oh, there it is. There. So, anyway, people pray to God and they pray and they say, God, please save my situation, please change my situation, dear universe, or whatever they say. And they think because God or the universe or whichever is greatly powerful, therefore God, the universe, or whatever will change their life. But God, the universe, or whatever can't do that unless they take the steps. So you're a battered wife. You don't have the courage to leave your situation. Your husband dies. You're just going to go straight into a new situation. Or someone comes in and saves you, drags you out of that situation. You're either going to go back to that person or you're going to go back to someone who's like that person. And that's why you'll read biographies of people who had bad relationships throughout their whole life, and they'll say, I don't know why I always get the alcoholics. I don't know why I always get the wife beaters. I don't know why I always get the narcissists and the abusers. It's because they always go back to that because that's all they've ever known. It's actually become their comfort zone. And so they go into it, get beaten up, and then they get comfort from the sympathy they get, playing the victim, and all sorts of stuff like that. So the victim is at fault in a lot of it. Because in reality, with every narcissist in bad situation, as soon as this person was abused or hurt, they just get them leave. And then they've been known for the abuser to abuse. But it doesn't happen that way. The victim always stays. Because they tracked them, because they become used to the situation they're in. And so you might say, God, you're all powerful. Take me from that situation. God says, I can take you from that situation, but as James has observed here, I can put you in this situation over here, and you'll walk out of a good situation and go into a bad situation. So it's the victim that keeps putting them in the bad situation. The predator always looks for the victim, of course, but the victim becomes a victim simply because the victim is weak and wants to be in that situation subconsciously, and maybe even for some consciously. So, and you'll find a person who's ragged and worn, a woman, and she's always been in rags and smokes drugs and takes gets wasted all the time and has affairs and stuff like that, and her husband beats her, so she leaves that situation, goes with a guy just like her husband in the next situation, maybe afraid of her husband, because it's the lifestyle, the drugs, the alcohol, the whole comfort zone she's created, she stays in, and part of that is being beaten. And I suppose she might probably just accept it, I don't know. The thing I'm getting at is you can't expect the person you're with to change, because they're not going to. You can't expect God to change your situation because it's a waste of time. But you can expect yourself or demand of yourself that you change the situation. Not God and not someone else. The only person who can change your situation should be you. And when you change the situation, and it's like the woman with 4 or 5 guys, they've all been abusers. She's living by herself, and she's thinking to herself, well, what now? And then she just goes back to the same people who were involved in the first 5 relationships, the same situations, the same parties or groups that she went to, like church or parties with particular friends on Saturday and Friday nights. The same situations, and gets another abuser. The thing is things have to be changed. The situation has to be changed. The people they go with has to be changed. What they do has to be changed. And nothing changes until they do that. God bless you.